Europe's energy crisis has ignited fresh interest in Africa as an alternative supplier of oil and gas. This as the continent pivots away from purchasing the fossil fuels from Russia in a bid to stem Moscow's ability to finance its war against Ukraine.
In western Uganda, drilling has begun at a China-operated oil field, despite mounting criticism from environmental activists. Isabel Nakirya reports from Uganda's Kikube district.
Drilling has begun at Uganda's first-ever oil production wells. The Kingfisher oil field, operated by the China National Offshore Oil Corporation, or CNOOC, is expected to drill more than 30 wells and produce about 40,000 barrels of oil at its peak. It's a few kilometers away from the Tilenga oil field, managed by France Total Energies. Drilling there begins later this year and is expected to produce about 190,000 barrels a day.
CNOOC Uganda Limited, together with our partner Total Energy and CNOOC, embark on the journey to attain first oil in 2025. And I must affirm that we are still committed to ensuring we attain this with the support of.
Crude oil will be pumped through what experts say is the longest heated export pipeline in the world. The East African crude oil pipeline will run over 1,400 kilometers from Hoima in western Uganda to Tanzania's Tanga port. The start of drilling is a big step for Uganda's commercial oil and gas industry. Authorities say they are still on target to have oil out of the ground by April 2025, putting Uganda on the list of oil-producing countries. Oil companies expect commercial production to open up about $4 billion worth of investments in oil infrastructure in Uganda. This includes processing facilities, residential camps, as well as the $5 billion pipeline. Uganda is also looking to partner with other international firms to build an oil refinery to produce finished products for local and regional markets.
Their activities now beginning, momentum is picking up on the ground, and you can see here that work is going on, that the people are getting busier. I think in Hoima the hotels were full last night and everything, so there's this sort of ripple effect from our activities, so rippling into the economies of Uganda and Tanzania, and it's very nice to be able to see that in a tangible way.
Uganda will have to borrow much of the money it needs to fund these projects, with China being a major source. The rest will come from oil companies. But the race for oil has driven residents out of the area. The 1,400-kilometer East Africa crude oil pipeline will run through this village, and residents here have been relocated to other areas to make way for its construction. But many people are unhappy about the compensation they've been offered, which they say is inadequate for the value of their land and property. Moses Musinguzi is one of those displaced by the pipeline.
Omusiri gumu bagugura milioni 10 hati kano nguruzire kayona ne mituru wenda ne emiti 5 ya kartus emikuru yunkusara okimpirima milioni mwenda hati muri mutima tikyankora kurungi.
The Ugandan government insists over 60% of those affected by the project have been compensated, and the rest will be soon. Opposition from environmentalists is another thorny issue. They are concerned about the infrastructure being located in an eco-sensitive area that encompasses the Lake Victoria Basin as well as national parks and rivers.
Nearly a third of the ECOP is going to be constructed in the Lake Victoria Basin. Now, the developers of the pipeline have said that, we are going to do our best to either avoid, minimize, or mitigate the impacts of our project, the pipeline project. But, world over, and when particularly you travel to Nigeria, Nigerians will tell you pipelines always fail.
Despite Europe's urgent need for alternative source of energy, the European Union has called for a halt to the oil pipeline, citing environmental and human rights concerns. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has dismissed those calls. Oil companies insist it's safe and that steps have been taken to mitigate the impact on the environment.
We are recognizing that we are working in an eco-sensitive area, so we try as much as possible to limit the footprint. Again, in terms of environment, the way in which the cuttings or the drilling mud or the waste is going to be handled, we are deliberate on ensuring that we use the right quality of the mud that has minimal impact on the environment, but at the same time the way it's going to be treated is also deliberately done.
Despite concerns over its ambitions, Uganda's bid to join the ranks of oil-producing nations is expected to boost its economy and open up investment and employment opportunities for its people. Isabel, Nakirya, CNA, Chikube, Western Uganda.